Thank you, Your Excellency, Secretary General. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have had a wonderful start to the conference, in particular given the ceremonies we held yesterday with the Drua coming in onto the beach and those two wonderful kids who've actually been in Bonn. They were in Bonn last year, and then of course they were in Paris too. We've also had a lot of positive feedback on both the content of the speeches delivered by Excellency the Secretary General and also Helen Clark yesterday, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and the spirit in which it took place, and really did bring about a new meaning to the concept of the Commonwealth family. Of course, some of the family members showed a lot of prowess last night on the dance floor. And we asked you to enjoy Fijian hospitality. Please do so and continue to do so. We're here to facilitate that for you. We'd also like to thank the Secretary General, as I mentioned, and Helen Clark for setting the tone for the conference with their contributions. They have given us a great deal of food for thought, and there are plenty of ideas in their contributions. And I'm sure that we'll be hearing from the respective groups such as EMAG and the small island states too. We, of course, we have to focus on the job that's at hand. We've all come here to draw on your experiences and to draw on your expertise to forge a better path forward together. As Commonwealth nations, we all stand at our own levels of development. We all have our own vision, our own priorities, and our own agendas for the education of our students and our young people in our respective countries. However, no government can afford to operate in silos, especially when it comes to issues that are universal. And two of these issues are inextricably tied to our future: the education of our young people and the health of our planet. Those are the issues that, by breaking through those silos in a spirit of Commonwealth collaboration, we will address it this week. As the Honourable Prime Minister said last year, our achievement in delivering education to more Fijians than at any point in our nation's history is our proudest accomplishment, which I'm sure resonates with you also. We look forward to building on that progress by drawing on your knowledge to improve our own performance in Fiji and that in every other Commonwealth countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to also, if I forget, I'd like to once again thank Bahamas for the chairmanship and the leadership for the past 3 years. And we, of course, have big shoes to fill in, and we look forward to collaboration with them too and guidance. This meeting, Honourable Ministers, is very timely as it comes just 10 weeks before the next Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in UK in April this year. Our deliberations and decisions over the next 3 days will provide the policy and strategic guidance that will shape the education agenda in the Commonwealth for the next 3 years. As we exchange ideas and recommend practical solutions, let us be mindful actually of the important mandate we've been given by our heads of government and the high expectations of the young people and stakeholders in education for tangible results from this conference that will impact upon the lives of the people of the Commonwealth. The purpose of the conference is not only to encourage a genuine exchange of views on the theme, but to recommend and agree practical policy actions that we as ministers can implement in our own countries after this conference. We also encourage ministers to have frank and open exchange of views on the thematic areas identified in the agenda. It is a common tradition that we keep the discussions informal and avoid reading from prepared statements, as I'm doing now, and the decisions are always usually achieved by consensus. I'd also like to add, as we mentioned yesterday, that in Fiji we like to not just have the Bulla spirit, but also the Talanoa dialogue, as we've expounded through the COP23, and is now actually become part and parcel of the COP negotiations also, and indeed for the overall climate action agenda. And the Talanoa approach means frank and open discussions in a very informal setting, but without finger pointing. And the idea is to come up with solutions. By limiting formality, we will be able to have more stimulating discussion that I believe will make the meeting interesting for us all. Interventions, Your Excellency, should be limited to around 3 minutes, be relevant and brief to allow us to hear a maximum number of voices. Those who wish to speak should indicate using the button on your microphone. May I remind ministers and delegates to kindly refrain from live streaming through any social media platforms. As is the usual practice for ministerial meetings, ministers will have priority in speaking rights. Observers do not normally speak except by special invitation from the chair. However, during the ministerial roundtables, observers can take full part in the discussions. As far as the documents are concerned, the documents were distributed via Commonwealth Connects to ministries and observer agencies in advance of the meeting, and delegates were asked to bring these with them to the conference via Commonwealth Connects. Any new documents produced throughout the week will be distributed to you by the document officer. If delegates wish to circulate papers, you may hand these in to the conference secretary, Mr. Robinson, who will then arrange for them to be available. We will do our best to ensure that we have a productive meeting and conclude the meeting with concrete decisions that we can translate into action in our own countries. We are of course keen to also evaluate the meeting, and to that end we will have an evaluation form that we will circulate towards the end of the meeting. Please kindly complete these forms and return these to us before midday on Friday. This will enable us to better deliver on future conferences and educational programs.